So this session is on joining data in Web Intelligence using the new Data tab. And I'm going to show you one report that is bringing data together, and then another report after that that is a new way of being able to bring data together that we couldn't have done previously. So I'm going to start off with this report here. And what I'm looking for in this report is I have products and their revenue, and I want to look at how much stock I have left in available for each of those products. And then I also want to see how long it's going to take to get more stock. And then I want to compare that to the suppliers and their SLA, and how do those numbers jive? Are they getting their products to us in the time specified? All right. So this first report is my universe data that's bringing back each of the products and their revenue. Okay. Let me edit this query. And some more space here at the top. Make the bookmark just so we have more room. There we go. All right, so here's my universe data. I'm going to add a new query, and this time it'll be with Excel data. And I really like this because I saved it as a favorite, and so it makes it very easy to find. And it's a simple Excel data. It is on my first report tab. The headers start at the top, so I can leave the defaults there and click OK. All right, and these are the columns in my Excel spreadsheet. You'll notice that, for example, product ID and status, both of those should be dimensions, but because they're numbers, Webi thinks that they must be measures. So bring on all the data. In 4.3, we can't change the qualification in the query panel, so we'll do that afterwards. I'm also going to rename the query real quick that this is my inventory information. Okay, and I'll run that query and insert the data in the current report. All right, so here's my second group of data. I'm going to bring in my third group of data, and then we'll do our data fixing, and then we'll do our data combining. All right, so I'll edit the query once more and add a query, and this time from a text file. Again, I saved it as a favorite, so there it sits, my supplier product SLA. All right, so in this window here, I can specify that text file is breaking up the columns of data. It is a tab separated report, so I'm going to keep it on tabulation, but the text delimiter, I'm going to switch it to none because I don't have double quotes or single quotes around that. And I do like that it gives us an option to change the date format, so that's cool. All right. Here are my columns in my text file. I'll bring in everything. And again, actually, all of these should be dimensions. My product ID is a number, and my order to ship SLA, that's the number of days. And it's really not a measure. It's a fixed number. So we'll fix that. I'll run all those queries. I should have renamed the third one. So we'll do that real quick. query. We'll call this supplier SLA. All right, now to the fixing of the objects that need to change their qualification. I'll click on product ID in my inventory query and open up the properties panel. And the third icon on the top there is your object properties. And this is where I can change the qualification to a dimension. I'll leave it as a number and click apply. And notice that my data goes away as soon as I do that. I'm going to fix the other one in here. The status is also a number that just needs to be a dimension. So I'll switch that to a dimension, click apply, and then I'll refresh that query. And there's my data. My third query here, notice my product IDs, it just added them all up because it thinks it's a measure. So I'll click on product ID, change that to a dimension and apply. And the same with the SLA number of days and apply. And then refresh. All right, that looks much better. Now, the cool part, we'll go to the data tab. And this is where we can combine data in 4.3. In here, notice how we have our universe query here, our Excel, and our text. One cool thing that I love that they added, the little pencil there, I could edit a query right from here. So if I clicked on that little pencil there, it would take me right to the inventory query and I could make changes. See, even though it's the middle query there, it takes me right to that query, which I really love. The other thing is it gives me a lot of information about how many drones we've got. So right off the bat, you would have the data tab when you install 4.3 Service Pack 3. But you may not have this combined button. And for example, I'm going to combine my universe data with my inventory data. Selected. There. No. I'm having trouble since I don't have my mouse. Renali, could you bring, I don't think this is up here. Nope. All right. There. All right, so I selected the two and now the combine button turns blue. This is what you won't see if you have not taken the extra steps. So I'm going to open a slide real quick. This is the SAP note that you need to refer to get that working in your environment. So that's the note, and then this is the steps. You have to stop and make an adjustment to your config file and add that activate combine queue. The reason why they did not do that on purpose the first time through was they know it's not really ready for prime time yet. There's several things that they want you to make sure you're aware of before you turn this on, because yes, it's a cool thing, but you have to be aware of certain things that it could do and how the data is going to behave. So that's why they say they didn't turn it on by default. So you have to go through this extra step after the install to get this. So now that I have selected those two, I'll click on my combine button and that opens up this create cube. Okay. from here, notice that it's showing my inventory on the left and my universe product revenue on the right. I want to switch that because I actually want the revenue to be my primary cube and then for it to add from the inventory. And then I'll specify the common dimension between them, which is, in this case, product ID. Another cool thing, I don't believe in 4.2 they put merge on detail or attributes. So that's a cool thing that they have added. Now, I can select those two, and it's really much more of a join than the old merge. You can still do the old conventional way of merging data that we have in the past, but now we have this new. And also notice we have the left join and an append. They have told us in the next version that we'll have a right join, which will be really cool. All right, so I've joined that data together. I'll click create. And let me close that window. You can see the new cube of data. I have 16 rows, which my primary cube had, plus additional columns from my Excel file. So that's my first data cube. Now I'm going to further add my text file data. However, I want to point out here, if I click on that file and look at the data here, I notice that my supplier column here, the values are all in caps. And in my new data cube here, it's going to join with this vendor column. So they called it something different, and it's not a problem that they have different names, but it is a problem that they don't match the formatting. So in here, I can just convert this to all uppercase. So there's some transformation options that we have in here, which we didn't used to have. All right, now that my columns are matching, I'm ready to select a text file and combine again. And I'm also going to give it a new name up here. So I'll call it product inventory and supplier estimate. All right. And then the items I want to combine on again are the product ID. I'll add those, but I also want to combine vendor name and the supplier. All right, I'll close that. Looks good. And I'll create my new cube. All right. And I could keep doing that, which is really nice. And I love that it uses the visual and you can see what's going on with the data there. So now let's look at this data real quick in design mode. Just for room's sake, I'm going to add this on a new report tab. Notice that you see just a single cube now over on the left. And all my products, all my objects are listed in here. So I'm going to select my products and vendor, and then some measures. Pop them as a table. I think I'm missing some. There we go. It's not wanting to drop. Well, of course. let me try closing it and reopening it. Let me. There we go. And then I'm going to use the feeding panel to add additional objects in here. So I want to display the vendor and revenue, and then days to ship, and finally the SLA number.
I know when you change the date type, you have to do a refresh, but when you do the join, do you have to do another refresh to the join?
Nope, nope, it brings it all together. Yep, very nice. All right. Notice my vendor name now is in all caps, and if I don't want it like that, I can then use a formula on that to, if I don't want to display it in all caps, I can use a cap function to just capitalize the first letter of each word. So now it looks more like our other. And I want to add a final quick, just to round out this, I'm going to add a conditional formatting to highlight the products that are not meeting their SLA. So I'll create a new rule, and I'm just going to say if the days to ship is okay, is greater than the SLA date, then highlight it in red. And then I'll apply that on my days to ship column. So right click, formatting rules, my quick little rule that I forgot to name. All right, so there it's highlighting the ones that are not meeting their SLA. And I could apply that to the vendor column as well. All right, any questions on that before I move on to the next example? I know, there's so much. Yeah. All right, this next example, I'm going to use some universe data, and what I found was that the example that I'm going to show is a very simple example. I just want you to be aware that you could do this. All right. So we show this example in one of our training classes of we want a list of our sales reps that are not producing any revenue. So my first query is going to show, give me the list of all my sales reps. And I'll add a quick count, footer calculation, and a count. And we've got 25 sales reps. All right. So I'll create a second query. I'll duplicate this query. And all right, show me my sales rep where revenue is equal to 0. And this should give me my sales reps that aren't producing any revenue. I'll put in the current report. All right, you see that message? No data retrieved. So that would appear that all the sales reps are generating revenue, right? So I'll create a third query that, all right, display all the revenue, just sales reps and their revenue. And again, keep it in the same report. But that list is only 8. So obviously there are quite a few actually, that are not generating any revenue. So in this case, in the class, what we show is how we can achieve that with a combination query. All right, which is the overlapping circles up here. And so let me create I'll duplicate this 4th query. I'm going to remove revenue from there and click on the combined query. So a combined query allows me to take a list of sales reps, and then I can change this, instead of a minus query, a union query, I'll change it to a minus query to subtract out the ones that have revenue. All relative, except if the data you need to minus out is in a different universe or a different, not even in a universe, in an Excel spreadsheet or something. There's the rub, right? However, we could achieve something similar with our new data tab. Okay, so let me, I'm going to cancel this and go to my data tab. And I should have renamed the queries to make it easier here. This is my query with my complete list of sales reps. And then the 3rd one down here is the ones that have revenue. Okay. So I'm going to combine those 2 data sets. So this way, obviously, from the first example you saw, I could use an Excel spreadsheet or a text file or another universe query in order to do this combining. If I take this and combine the data there, and we'll combine it on salesperson and create that list. Now, my new list, which has my new query data set, doesn't look very pretty, but it looks really funky. Let me switch to query view. All right, there I've got my salesperson and revenue. What I get this time is a complete list. Let me move over here a little bit. So now, and I could have shown this in the design mode too, which I like the way it looks here. If I click on this new cube, you see how we get the full list and we get nulls for the revenue. So now it's an easy matter of just putting a filter on that table and filtering out the ones that do have revenue or is null on the table, and you have your list of the sales reps that are not. So that is a cool way of being able to combine your data. I'll add a filter and say where revenue is null. Is null, yes. Change my operator to is null. All right, and there's our list. I'll add a quick count. Order calculation. All right, there's our 17 that aren't pulling their weight. So I like that. Now you can use achieve a combined query, a minus query with a different data source in your new data tab. Okay, and then next year hopefully we'll be able to demonstrate that. All right, any questions?
Makes it so much more helpful on the report writer side, that you're not relying on your admin to go in and change universes and redesign things. And
yes.
You know, on a case by case basis. Really nice.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. All righty.
No more